sacrifice, and she's not inhibited by social convictions. She's a parent. This is apparent in this particular story because Jesus is her dinner guest. First, Martha welcomed Jesus into her house. A hospitable gesture, to be sure, but something more as well. It's a defiance of conventional behavior. Jesus is alone with two women, and he's not related to either one of them, and he's being served by this woman, and he's teaching the other one. That's against the law. That's against the rule. It's all a violation of social norms. And it's Martha's welcome which makes him possible. This dinner will not be something thrown together just to pick up meal. Martha's fixings is a feast. Before it's over, every pot and pan in the house will be dirty. But nothing is too good for Martha's friend. She moves forward full steam ahead and makes the servants a triumph of hospitality. So does she, and she does so with confidence. Confidence born of long experience, cooking meals large and small. Martha is the one who, if there were a wedding going on, Martha would be the one who they would call to be in charge of the meals and to set everything together. If there's a repast, she's the person who they would call, because Martha is the one who never says no, and Martha is the one who puts everything she's got into it. She moves forward full steam ahead to make this event a whole big thing. She's the epitome of the person who we say, if you need something done, call a busy person, and Martha is that person. The world today has many women and men who are just like Martha. They volunteer at schools and hospitals. They sit on boards of nonprofit agencies, and they're active in fraternal orders and community organizations. They work hard at their jobs, and they do so because they want to make a difference. They care about their own children, and they care about other people's children as well. They are the backbone of churches, even churches as large as St. Mary's. They are people the pastor counts on. In the pews and of this and every church, there are women and men like Martha. Much of what happens in earth today, on earth today, is really because of the people who are Marthas, and there are lots of Marthas out there. Yet today's gospel doesn't show Martha, the friend of Jesus, in the best possible light. She's attracted. She's found herself lost in all the service that she's doing, and she's really looking kind of extra. Okay. But today's gospel shows Martha as a friend of Jesus in what is not the best possible light. Jesus tells her, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things. I overemphasized it when I said it that way because he wasn't really upset. He was talking to a friend. He was being nice to her. He wasn't making fun of her. He was being nice to her and saying, Martha, the kitchen's a mess and everything is a mess, but Mary is doing the best part. Mary is not like Martha. Mary is spacey. She's kind of, one of those people who just, whichever way the wind blows, that's the way Mary is going. And Martha is the one who is really in charge. But her attention is pulled in 6 different directions, even though there are only 4, she's pulled in 6 different directions. She's lost. She loses control. She needs a hand, but Mary's out entertaining Jesus. They're enjoying a nice glass of wine and some hors d'oeuvres, and Martha's famous for what she's doing, but what Martha has done is Martha is triangulating. Now, Miss Manners wouldn't like what Martha did. She's asking a guest, make my sister help me. She's asking a guest to do that. That's not cool, but that's what she did. She needs a hand, but Mary is out entertaining Jesus. Guest or no guest, Martha wants Mary to help right now, and not just wash the dishes later, but rather act as her usual direct self. She throws the sister under the bus and makes her cranky plea to her guest. And again, Miss Manners wouldn't approve of that at all. Lord, do you care that my sister has left me by myself to do the serving? It's triangulation, and triangulation is wanting to speak to somebody, but finding somebody else to carry the message for you. That's not right. That's not right at all. If you got something to say to somebody, you say it to that person. You don't say it to somebody else, especially a guest, to do something about something that's happening in your house. It's not Martha speaking. It's not Martha speaking and distracting Mary. It's Mary doing what she's doing and listening to Jesus and learning from Jesus, and not what Martha is doing. Martha is so distracted in what she's doing that she doesn't have time to do anything else. It's the easiest thing in the world for the Marthas of today to become distracted by their many tasks. For large numbers of people, this is nothing exceptional. It's a normal state of existence. They're stressed out. They're scattered. They're ready to share their unhappiness with others. They may engage in outbursts like Martha, or they may try other ways to throw their weight around. They may seem flat and disengaged and test that way. But the world of living color, these are people who see through a black and white screen and see it in small areas. They don't see the big picture. Martha is distracted by many tasks. Her relationship with Jesus and with her sister suffer as a result of this. And this otherwise admirable person appears as a big headache. And all of us suffer when the Marthas of this world are not simply busy, but busy in the wrong way, a way that lacks a center. And we all have to find our own center. When Martha-type people are distracted and worried by many things, when they view these things as gigantic and see nothing better, when the Marthas experience no place of refreshment, when they experience no Sabbath time, then all of us pay the price. And that's a terrible thing, but it happens to us all the time. Jesus speaks gently to Martha. He's not yelling at her. He has no sense of rebuke in his voice. He's reaching out to a dear friend and who is making an unholy fool of herself. He tells Martha there's only one thing that's important. Rather than be at the mercy of the distractions, she must recognize her center. And what is a center? A center is an ever-present. It's a part of where we are. It's relating directly to Christ. It's relating directly to God. It's a sense of wonder rather than allowing ourselves to get caught up in all the stuff that's going on around us. And trust me, it's not something that I'm not familiar with, because I see it all the time. I engage in it all the time, that there's so much going on until it's difficult to focus on where we are. And one thing we have to do is to find our center. And what is our center? Our center is relating directly to Jesus. And we can relate directly to Jesus. And one way that I find is helpful is to put ourselves in Jesus' hands, not to pray and ask for this and ask for that and ask for the other. We don't have to ask for all that. All we have to do is put ourselves in Jesus' hands and let him take take control. And it's something that if we're centering ourselves with Jesus. Centering prayer is a good way to do that. I don't know how you do it, but we all have to do it at some time or another. And that is to center ourselves with Jesus, to engage in centering prayer. It's something, if you don't know what centering prayer is about, everybody here has a computer. Look on your phone, Google it, centering prayer. And what it means is just stopping. It's a meditation. It's time to just stop and think of a word. Think of something that you want to deal with, and allow yourself to just think about that, to center, find your own center, and your center is there. Everybody has a center. You've got to allow it to happen, but it's a matter of listening to what God is saying. If you're centering, you're not asking, you're praying, and it may be a different kind of prayer, because maybe we're not used to that kind of prayer. Maybe we're used to the prayers that we've learned from birth and all the rote prayers, and we don't have to stop doing those prayers. We don't have to stop doing the rosary. We don't have to stop doing any kind of prayer that we do. But centering prayer is a matter of just being there with Christ. If we have engaged in conversation with Christ, this is more like communion with Christ. It's allowing Christ to come to us. And that's where Mary is. Mary is listening. Mary is sitting there being taught by Jesus. And that's what he's saying to Martha. And Mary has the best part, and it won't be taken from her. In other words, Mary is involved in herself. She's involved in centering with Christ and centering within herself. Again, look up centering prayer, and you will see what centering prayer is about. It's a type of prayer that is hundreds of years old, but it is. And again, centering prayer may not be for everyone, but centering prayer is something that works. I've used it for a long time, and I find that when I wake up in the morning, I listen. I just sit there, I just lay there a while before I get up. Sometimes I fall asleep, but that's okay, because when I wake up, I pick up where I left off. It's a matter of centering yourself, and be honest. Look at what it does for you, and there are other practices, of course, that keeps us centered with Christ. Other ways of getting back in without allowing all of the scattering things that happen in a day to take control of us. Sometimes I stop at work and I just turn around and I just wait and I pray again, listening to what Christ is saying to me. And you find that if you do that, you will find he's there. He's there listening, and he's guiding you if you allow him to. In each of us, there's this busy Martha person. We're all too often overburdened and distracted. The role she plays in the world is essential, but she stands in need of joy. And within each of us, there's also a Mary who can listen, who can be guided by Jesus, who is in charge of us if we allow him to be in charge. And all I can think of is that, again, as Jesus blesses us all, what we have to do is be there to listen. So let us all take time to listen and to pray and to allow ourselves to be centering, to allow ourselves to find our center, because that's what Mary was doing, and that's what Jesus is asking Martha to do. And that's what he's asking us to do. Amen.